So originally I was going to make this video like a few weeks ago, and I started writing it, and then my depression just kind of said,
"Your ambitions are irrelevant."
so here it is now.
Did you get it?
So here's a fun fact about me. I grew up at the perfect time to experience the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it's happening. The first movie I ever went to go see on opening night is now my favorite movie of all time, The Avengers. And it's something I'm honestly never going to forget. Something else I'll never forget is this toy commercial that has a catchy little rap attached to it. Take a listen.
Powerful alone, unstoppable together, Avengers! Assemble!
It's kind of strange hearing that now, powerful alone, unstoppable together. Because yeah, little 10-year-old me could 100% believe that, but 16-year-old me got to watch the day it stopped being true. I watched the day that the Avengers were stopped. It's kind of wild now revisiting this movie, in part due to the passing of Chadwick Boseman, in part because this movie is a direct prequel to what is now the highest grossing movie of all time, and in part because most people's reaction when the pandemic started was something to the effect of, guess Thanos did have a point. And make no mistake, it's called Avengers Infinity War, but this is very much a Thanos movie. He's the protagonist. He's the one with the journey, the goal he sets out to achieve, that perfect moment of achievement, and eventually the happy ending. That's all well and good. In fact, I actually love the idea that the Russos, alongside Marcus and McFeely, were willing to set the Avengers aside for a bit in service of developing, quote-unquote, this generation's Darth Vader, as they love to phrase it. There's plenty of essays out there on how they made Thanos as good of a villain as he is, but I haven't seen any one of them talk about how this is a movie that made the Avengers the antagonists. And even more importantly, how this movie breaks the Avengers. The most important element to this idea is how the movie that directly precedes this, at least in terms of the big picture MCU, is Civil War, the movie where the Avengers
broke up. Like a band? Like the Beatles?
This is incredibly important to the plot, as having his opponents spread out makes Thanos' mission easier, but even more to the characters of the Avengers. When this movie starts, everyone is ostensibly at their lowest point. Steve, Nat, and Sam are government fugitives who seemingly operate with strong morals but no rules. Tony is effectively out of action, Thor just gets his ass handed to him, and Bruce seems to be in the midpoint of a tumultuous and complex character arc that ultimately culminates in...
Damn.
This is a great tone setter. I'm genuinely impressed that they committed to this massive shakeup in the MCU, as most fans were expecting the whole team to be back together by the final act. Thankfully, the Russos committed to the consequences of their previous MCU installment and subverted audience expectations by keeping the Avengers broken apart and just plain broken. But having the Avengers be literally broken up is only one piece of the puzzle. There's a bunch of smaller things missing in how this movie both is and isn't an Avengers movie. Things that, to me at least, define the other three movies of this quadrilogy of films as distinctly being Avengers movies. I won't go through all of them, but I'll hit some of the big points for me. As I previously mentioned, the absence of a moment where all of the Avengers comes together kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, as does the absence of Hawkeye, a trend that continues to this day as it seems. The big thing for me, the thing that I actively took note of leaving the theater, was the fact that there isn't a big oneer that travels from hero to hero. For example, Avengers 1 has this iconic glory during the Battle of New York. Age of Ultron opens with this wonderful little gem, and everyone knows where this goes in Endgame. Avengers Infinity War lacks that big long shot where every member of the team is displayed doing what they do best and kicking ass and all that jazz. What it does feature is Thanos personally vibe-checking every single Avenger out of pure convenience, because that's all the Avengers are at the end of the day, an inconvenience. Hell, the only real long take we get in this movie is the fucking ending with Thanos sitting on his porch, smiling as he watches the sun rise on a grateful universe. Telling, is it not? Speaking of telling, you know what this movie is a lot of? Monologues. So many scenes of Thanos declaring his intent and explaining his motivations, telling the Avengers and the audience what he's going to do and then doing it. He never flinches, he never goes back on his word, he never lets his wills or morals be questioned. Thanos is supreme. In Avengers Infinity War, Thanos is, well...
inevitable.
let's see. Thanos is a powerful force who has a strong belief in his ideals, enough strength to combat a god, but when power isn't enough, he honestly wins by sheer willpower. He never compromises, he fights relentlessly for what he believes in, and you believe his victories by sheer force of will because he carries himself with that conviction. Does that sound like anyone else we know and love in the MCU? It's no secret that, alongside Iron Man, Captain America is effectively the protagonist of the Infinity Saga, and my personal favorite Avenger. And as much as Thanos is a perfect foil for Tony, I think he's an even better foil for Steve. The similarities are obvious, but the lack of a moral compass in Thanos shows what makes him a near polar opposite to Steve. He kills with impunity when he must, while Steve actively avoids the deaths of friends and foes alike. Hell, he even gives a small speech about how they don't trade lives. Thanos has the will and strength to wield the stones, and as Steve will demonstrate later, he has the moral fortitude and worth to wield Mjolnir. The key difference is that if you took Steve from 1940s Brooklyn and gave him the hammer way back when, I would stake my life on the fact that the only trouble he'd have in lifting Mjolnir is the fact that it might be a little heavy for him. Comparatively, if Thanos hadn't experienced the death of his planet, I don't think that he could conceivably use the stones at all. Steve is good for the sake of good, while Thanos becomes who he is through loss, pain, and trauma. The core of the first Avenger is unwavering and sometimes illogical good, but the core of the Mad Titan is an evil that requires justification. All that to say, Thanos takes from Steve the one thing he gets in every single Avengers movie. And no, it's not the bit of Mjolnir smashing against the shield, it's the goddamn speeches. In every Avengers movie, Cap gets the chance to give a speech that could wake the dead with naught but raw fucking verbal power. Even when he speaks in smaller maxims such as,
You get hurt, hurt him back. You get killed, walk it off.
it always comes across as not just a statement to the Avengers, but to the audience. This is the essence of the Star-Spangled Man with a Plan, his conviction and morals that make him a perfect leader, perfect superhero. And in stark contrast, we get Thanos' speeches and maxims, to Gamora, Strange, and Stark even. All expository in nature, but also there to reveal Thanos' character. In a way, these speeches also serve as a foil to Captain America's speeches. While Caps were messages to the Avengers in text and to the audience in subtext, Thanos doesn't even bother. He walks in and he says, "Here I am, here's my intention, here's why I'm doing it."
Now draw your blade and catch this fade, my nigga.
This is a message both to the Avengers and to the audience, in plain text. And it's this character building, this focus on Thanos and pull away from the Avengers, that puts Infinity War in the top 5 Marvel movies without question, that makes Thanos this generation's Darth Vader, and that makes this third Avengers movie a movie about destroying the Avengers. Okay, I'm back. I took a break, I posted a bunch of memes, and now I'm back. Being that school has started for me, my schedule is probably going to be a lot more erratic, so you're not going to be getting one video a week most of the time, but I will continue to put effort into my videos. I swear on my life the next video I do is going to be the Black Panther game pitch. I'm promising it. I might release a meme in between, but that's going to be it. It's going to be Black Panther. This one I just wanted to do because Omar's brother has been revisiting a lot of the MCU, and some of it I believe he's watching for the first time, and we've had quite a few conversations about Infinity War, and so I felt the need to express some of my ideas about it. Also, I really wanted to do that Caleb City joke. I got a Twitter. Occasionally I just, tweet shit, just random thoughts that I have. I think the very first one I did was just me lamenting about people being booty cheeks on Among Us, so that's great. So yeah, I have Twitter. I'm just at Chimera Films. I have an Instagram, which that's been the case for a while. That's at Chimera Films YT. Important distinction. Both are going to be linked down below. I also, as always, have the SurveyMonkey poll down below, so go vote on that, because that's going to determine like the big project that I'll be working on after I complete the Black Panther pitch. And being that we're on the topic of Avengers, I got the Avengers game, and I've gone through like 4 different versions of a video on it. One of which was going to be like me complaining about the plot, one of which was going to be a straight-laced review. I think I finally settled on what I actually want to do with it, so expect that to come out at some point. It's a weird game, but I do play it quite often. I'm going to put my PlayStation Network ID on the screen, so if you guys want to play Avengers with me, send me an invite. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Share this video with people who who like Caleb City jokes and teenagers ranting about how cool Thanos is. And that's really all I got. This has been Chimera Films. I've been Steven. You've been awesome. I'll speak to you guys later. Peace out.